Is that Aleta?
Why, yes, it is, Pete.
It's so nice to see you.
Tell me, what can I say? I am so thrilled and grateful to all of you from Face the Music. Wow. You, Pete Kronowitt. We've got Chaz Castell, who is behind the scenes making it all happen. Linda Allen, who has been the kind of push and shove from the beginning, and Brant Miller, who is also here going to play music for us. And I'm so grateful. This is a moment where we all need to kick back, fill our souls with some really life-affirming culture. So this is wonderful. And I want to just thank everybody for being here with us tonight. We are truly going to need all of each other to hold together if we're going to tackle the really big issues facing us. Heck, we've got climate change. We've got to transform our policing. We've got growing inequalities. And everybody needs healthcare in this COVID environment. So, and now we have the ticket on top. We've got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So time to get moving.
Time to get moving. It is
our democracy.
Yes. It's like the idea behind these, we're doing these shows virtually, but across the country, and working with state legislative candidates that, are the best endorsed state legislative candidates in the most important races. And but the reason why we're doing these shows is we want to connect with people. We want to, music is a great way for us to understand each other a little bit differently, and to bring in people who normally are not paying attention, and and give them an opportunity to know exactly what to do to help a campaign that's as important as yours.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. Maybe I should do that thing. All right. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a little music, then we'll bring you back. All right.
Thanks.
So here we go. Yeah. So matter of fact, since Aleta mentioned, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I wrote this song, the most weirdly optimistic song I've ever written, because I was going through a tough time. My family's going through a tough time, and that's what came out. Instead of something negative, it was completely opposite. So I think that there is something to being able to transform, to channel energy, and to make it positive. Fried shrimp, clams, some Maryland crabs, a big old bucket of beer. Waitress comes around and says, "Is everything all right, dear? You never ever know all the places you'll go, all the things that life will show. Just never know. You never ever know. Just learn to take it kind of slow. Take every chance you get to grow. You just never know." There's a long road to hoe. Just take a look at your big toe. Take off your shoe and go. Kick back, enjoy the show. You never ever know all the places you'll go, all the things that life will show. You just never know. You never ever know. Just learn to take it kind of slow. Take every chance you get to grow. You just never know. Everything you want to know, to the airport you should go. The information desk is key to set your heart and mind free. And the answers you will find, they're all locked up in your mind. That's the point to see your song. You never ever, never know all the places you will go, all the things that life will show. Just never know. You never ever, never know. Just start to take it kind of slow. Take every chance you get to grow. You just never know all the places you go, all the things that life will show. Take every chance you get to grow. You just never know. Woo! All right. You know, it's funny. I'm so happy. I mean, there's been some technical issues that we've worked through, and using this new platform, which means you get to see banners and you get to see logos at the top and stuff like that. Hint to Chaz. And so, but I'm also really excited that I get to play this show with Brant Miller. So I met Brant at a folk conference a couple years ago, and you know, we were sitting around in the circle, and you know, everybody plays songs, and these folk conferences, they're like really great artists, and his songs just stood out. I mean, just seriously stood out. And then again, you know, it's like 2017, was that right? Yeah, no, it was just this year, and I ran into him again, and I told him what I was doing, and he was like, "I'm all in." And he's been wanting to play one of these shows for a while. But at I think at the original folk conference that I met him at, Billy Bragg was a keynote. And what Billy said, if you don't know Billy Bragg, which you might not, he's a UK-based singer-songwriter, and he's known as much for his leftist progressive activism as his great music. And what he said in that keynote, just, it still resonates with me. Maybe it will with you. And this is the abridged version. What he said: for those of us who want to do good in the world, our real enemy is not, it's not communism or capitalism. It's not even the orange menace. Orange. No, it's cynicism. It's that feeling like that nothing we do will ever change anything, that everything is going to remain the same, that all politicians are alike. And the antidote for cynicism is empathy. So I started thinking about the creative process. What we all do, is we iterate until we develop a new perspective. And the first time I did that was this song. Let the fool again, let love slip through my hands again. There we go again. Feel I've lost my best friend. I never learned, but I ask why. Always burn every time I try. No matter what we feel, no matter what we do, one can't love enough for two. I tried so hard, I tried everything. I cried so hard, I gave you everything. So concerned, is it a lie? Then you turned, didn't say goodbye. No matter what we feel, or what we go through, one can't love enough for two. cross our lines, we dot our T's. We pass our time so foolishly. Whoa, no. We never learn. Some ask why. Then we'll burn after we die. No matter what we feel, no matter what we do, one can't love enough for two. No matter what we feel, no matter what we do, one can't love enough for two. So, I'm not sure this is going to sound okay, because, as I said, there's a new thing we're using, but I'll give this a shot. My wife is also involved in running a campaign. She's in Arizona, and she left to go there in November. And that was before, obviously, the pandemic. We thought we'd be seeing each other regularly. And so the pandemic started, and I started writing the song. I finished it with a friend of mine, Viola Krause, who I love dearly. And I love my wife more, just so you know. But I don't get to see her that much, you know, and obviously. And so when I started writing the song with Viola, this song actually became bigger. When the world is a little bit colder, you can be a blanket for me. When this world is a little bit darker, you're the light I can see. If your arms cannot hold me, it's your love I still feel, and your heart is the only beating thing that is real. Stay safe, stay safe, until you're home here with me. Stay safe, stay safe. Home is where you should be. I remember what it was like before everything changed. In such a short time, we hardly talk now. We should be able to agree. We're still human, but it's not right. We argue endlessly, but we're still human, and it's not right. We all want the same thing. Stay safe, stay safe, until you're home here with me. Stay safe, stay safe. Home is where you should be. Home is where you should be. Until you're home. Here with me. Stay safe. So I really like a lot of the reasons, the issues that Aleta is running on. I mean, and you think about these things that we all care about: education, healthcare, making sure that we're all safe, that our government is responsible. And, one of those things that we really need more emphasis, more focus, more action, more legislation, more policy is around climate change. And, I was sitting in this park near my house, and there's all these little animals that were surrounding me. And I just realized that how vulnerable they are and how much that's an analogy for all of us. Sitting in my garden chair, there's a roly-poly over there, touching many rows into a ball. There's no plan B for the roly-poly. Got a feeling we're headed for a fall. Rising tides will sink our shores, bumblebees won't buzz no more, butterflies won't have a place to rest. Sink or swim, will we still care? Will the roly-poly still be there if we say we've done our very best? The garden grows all our food, the roly-poly lives there too. Like me and you, he wants grandkids too. Do I choose to sit and wait where the choices that we make? Is there something more that we can do? Can I make a difference? What happens next? Yeah, there's some things I could do. Rising tides will sink our shores, bumblebees won't buzz no more, butterflies won't have a place to rest. Sink or swim, will we still care? Will the roly-poly still be there if we say we've done our very best? Can we handle what will happen next? Hope you know what a roly-poly is. When I wrote that song with two great songwriters in Hot Springs, North Carolina, and the guy who organized the event, he didn't know what a roly-poly was. A guy named, well, maybe I shouldn't give it away, his name, but I love that guy dearly. Anyway, so roly-polies, they're little bugs. You touch them, and they do roll into a ball. They're actually not insects. They're crustaceans. Fun fact. Okay, so I got a couple things to say, and then I'm going to play. I think it'll 2 quick songs, and then I'll turn it over to Aleta. So, like I said, I've been playing these songs for state legislative candidates actually for the last couple of years. And I was playing live and in person, and it was so much fun to do those shows. These shows are so heartening, and the thing that I learned, in working with so many state legislative candidates is that they won't tell you a couple things. They'll tell you what they're running on. They'll tell you what inspired them to run. They'll tell you about their family and, you know, their experience, but they won't tell you what they're giving up to run. And they're just people, you know, it's like they're crazy people who give up time with their family. They give up nights and weekends. They give up time with friends. They, in every single case, there's not a state legislature across this country that pays a good enough wage to really, like, that's what you can afford to live on. But they give up, and often they give up a career to do it. And it's because they're running for all these reasons to help the community, help, you know, to try and make things a little bit more sane. And so, you know, what do we get? Well, we get a lot, because it turns out that 22 times more laws get passed in state legislatures versus the federal government. There's a lot of reasons why states are important in terms of state government. But some of us are really lucky in this very difficult time, and we have jobs or we have, you know, resources. So if you have more money than you have time, please give to Aleta's campaign. But like that little banner says, if you have more, there you go, donate. If you have more time than money, you know, and you have the luxury of being at home, man, Aleta needs you to make some phone calls. I mean, there's plenty of things you can do to help the campaign. And it makes a huge difference, because state legislative campaigns sometimes come down to like a couple of votes, 100 votes, 1,000 votes. I mean, it makes a real difference. And then it helps everybody up ballot. So it's the most strategic thing you can do with your time and resources, is to help a state legislative campaign, which is why I'm doing this. So anyway, this song is, in case you have a sense of history. The Brant's New Valley, have you no sense of decency? You can't have no rules when there's no ground. Chicken Little came a-calling, Pinocchio's nose is growing, the emperor's not wearing any clothes. But this is real, you just don't see. There's a long arc of justice in history. There's something you just don't see. It's that plane of truth that will set us free. Joseph Goebbels was deformed. Nobody learned from Animal Farm. 1984 taught us double speak. Just how did we get here? Ignorance does not seem like bliss. It's a messed up repeat of history. You will be you, I will be me. There's a long arc of justice in history. There's something you just don't see. It's that plane of truth that will set us free. I may be blue, you are just mean, and we know truth will set us free. Before I finish this last song, anybody who volunteers their time and signs up on that form right there, I will give you a bundle of songs. These songs are all on a new album that's going to be released in September, and I'll pack them up and send them to you. Yeah. Anyway, here's kind of a subtle reminder. I'm gonna tell you all, it's time to kick your ass in gear. It's time to tear down fear. Do something now. The moment has arrived. We can tell we're alive and do more than survive. do something now. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. Do something, do something, do something now. Don't just bitch and moan. Time to get on the phone. To be sure, just knock on doors. It's forward, ho. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. Do something, do something, do something now. Polar bears can't swim forever. Guns killed 7 kids today. 10 more lies yet. He's obviously really a Russian spy. Women's rights are being stripped away. It's time we do something, do something, do something now. 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 I'm gonna tell you all, it's time to kick your ass in gear. I needed that last note. All right, it's time for Aleta to come back.
That was incredibly moving, Pete. I can't tell you. I was just thinking about when you started off quoting Billy Bragg, who I have seen. He's wonderful. On empathy, I think that's really key. I think so many of us feel so absolutely numb right now by the enormity of what's happening around us and the pain that so many people are experiencing and will experience still in this COVID and pandemic. But I found that the way that I can lose that numbness is really just what you said, do something now. I think when we create community by acting, then we're really losing that. And when we act on our shared values and regain our humanity. So I must confess, I've been an activist since the 70s. I started out by being a student leader in the anti-apartheid movement, and I committed myself to doing racial justice work in the Northeast. The Ku Klux Klan was marching most weekends in Connecticut at the time. And then, of course, I was protesting against the many police murders of Black people in New York in the 80s. I took that activism to North Carolina, where I studied medicine and public health. And there started a free clinic in the underserved areas of Eastern North Carolina. It was there I really saw firsthand how our healthcare system fails poor and marginalized people. I saw people come in with really devastating strokes because they simply didn't have treatment for their high blood pressure. They came in with end-stage cancers. Ever since then, I've worked for a universal healthcare system. I believe everybody deserves the care they need. It's a basic right. I came back to the Midwest where I grew up to train and work at the Mayo Clinic. But one of the last patients I cared for really demonstrated to me that it's not enough to just do well in the hospital. We need to take much better care of everybody outside the hospital. This last patient that I cared for was wheelchair bound, and he was living in a converted chicken coop literally and was eating every other day because he was so poor. I mean, that was pre-COVID, but now in this environment, it's clear that more people are going to suffer, that people are hungry. I just saw that people are in a mile-long queue for a food bank in Dallas. People are going to be put out on the streets, and I've heard also that water is being cut off at this point for people. These are basic things that people need, and it's time that all of us really need to step up for each other. We have to hold tight with each other and step up for each other. We just can't let people fall through the cracks, no matter like the color of our skin, where we came from, how we got here, whomever we love, or however we worship. We're in this together. It pains me that just yesterday, one of our imams from Dar al-Farouk Islamic Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. You may recall that that was the center that was bombed several years ago. One of the imams was attacked. This highlights the need for all of us to stand up together and stand up against this Islamophobia and racism. So let me just say, why should you care about this race? Minnesota, it turns out, has the only divided legislature in the country. There's so many things that we needed to have happen in Minnesota this year. You know, after George Floyd's murder, we needed to pass transformative policing policies that would hold police accountable to the communities that they serve in. We needed to pass an infrastructure bill to put people back to work. And we needed to pass emergency rent and mortgage assistance to try to prevent people getting evicted. Thank heavens our governor, who is really progressive, Tim Walz, he put a more extended. DC sits on all the tons of good bills. The same thing is happening in Minnesota. And my senator, the senator that I'm hoping to unseat, is part of that obstruction. When the People of Color and Indigenous Caucus in the Minnesota legislature put forward a whole set of police accountability bills that they had worked on for well over a year, the House had a lot of hearings, days of hearing, bringing in lots of community members. The Senate did not hold one hearing. And in fact, at the same time, they held a hearing on property damage in Minneapolis. You know, this was a pivot from the real issue that everybody deserves the ability to go home safe at the end of the day, wherever they live in the city and whoever they are. But instead, this act by the Republicans pivoted to a dog whistle that, you know, the urban centers are dangerous places for all the other people in Minnesota. That's a racist dog whistle that I think we're hearing across the country right now. Just to say a little bit about Rochester, my town, it's the third largest city of Minnesota. It's the home of the Mayo Clinic and biomedical research hotbed. Last week, our governor, Tim, went to bat for me to say that this city, you know, of innovation, science, and diversity deserves new reputation by somebody who actually believes in science and will fight for inclusion, not division. We simply need to flip 2 seats in Minnesota to make sure that everybody in this state can thrive. And this seat is one of the most vulnerable in Minnesota. It's one that we can win. Governor Walz won it in 2018 by 10 percentage points. You know, all of Minnesota needs us to win this. And I should tell you that when we win this, we will be able to, and we'll flip the Minnesota Senate, that we will be able to make sure in 2021 that we can draw fair new districts. Redistricting is one of the big issues. So one thing I'd like you to know is I didn't just decide to run as Aleta, you know, this individual with a lot of good ideas. No. I bring with me many partnerships from years of organizing and being an advocate for my community on so many issues. But in particular, I spent the last 7 years working to expand our public health insurance program. It's a Minnesota innovation called Minnesota Care. It's more than Medicaid. It's a really great program, but the income limit, you know, is 200% of the federal poverty level. We need to make sure that everybody who's struggling to pay for healthcare right now can buy into Minnesota Care. So I work with a sustainable farming organization because one of the main reasons why farmers lose their farms to bankruptcy is healthcare costs. So this is really how I got schooled in healthcare policy, you know, how I figured out how legislation is written and passed, and I feel ready to do this job. But I've also built relationships with many grassroots organizations, people's organizations, the environmental movement, LGBTQ organizations, and our labor unions. And this spring, I used the platform of my campaign to try to promote and get support for the policies, the bills that were being put forward on transforming our policing by the People of Color and Indigenous Caucus of the Minnesota Legislature. One final aspect of my campaign that I want to mention again is the importance of fighting the Republican attempts to use race and xenophobia to divide rural from urban. There is really deep pain and poverty in all of rural Minnesota. In fact, there are more people who are on SNAP, our food stamps, in rural Minnesota than the other parts of Minnesota. There are childcare deserts, healthcare deserts, and food deserts, actually, even in agricultural parts of Minnesota. And there are very large immigrant communities working our fields, our dairies, and our food processing plants. These are some of the people who are experiencing the very highest rates of COVID-19 infection. We need to fight for all of us and healthcare for all of us if all of us are going to stay safe. I've spent 7 years organizing with Land Stewardship Project, the farmer organization I mentioned. We work to build alliances in our rural communities with our immigrant neighbors to stand in defense of those immigrant communities. And we've also worked to keep our small farms alive and land out of the hands of industrial agriculture. And one of the things that we've done is to try to build support between urban people and rural people to fight for local food systems and local food producers to help keep our small towns and rural towns alive and keep those farmers who are stewarding the land on the land. Finally, we've helped to promote the soil building practices that actually put carbon into the soil to help fight climate change. So supporting our small farmers is really about climate change. It's clean water, it's economic justice and food security. We've got to support those farmers as well. So I just want to kind of end by saying that, I come to this race with a wide background of understanding healthcare policy. I understand about policing reforms. I've fought for racial justice. I understand a lot about agriculture and climate change. And I'm not fighting for just some people, but for all of us in Minnesota. So I'm so grateful you're in the struggle with me wherever you are. I know there are people all over this country who are holding on to each other and helping each other to push forward what we need to make sure all of us thrive. But if you haven't jumped on this campaign yet, please do. Pete mentioned that, I've got people in California even and other places who are at phone banking for me. Wherever you are, you can phone bank for me. I mean, I'm the veteran door knocker. I've been knocking on doors in my district since 2002. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a slam dunk for me. I love talking with people at the door. Unfortunately, I've got to use the phones or platforms like this. So thank you so much. So, and if you live in the district, please contact us and get a lawn sign. So this is our really big chance to turn Minnesota blue and help to keep all of the U.S., to get all of the U.S. blue, actually, since Minnesota is a battleground. So thanks to Face the Music. I think I'm ready for more music. How about you?
I think that's a great idea. Aleta, completing, sentences using grammar, then having knowledge about policy. I mean, and then, yeah. So I just want to say, you mentioned so many different things, but two seats to flip the Minnesota House. It's in our grasp.
Senate.
The Senate. I'm sorry, Senate. It's within our grasp. All we need, and I've been involved. I know that just making phone calls, and I know that, some people don't like making phone calls, but it's just talking to people. It's like you said, it's just having conversations with people, asking them what's important to them. And invariably, people care about education. They care about healthcare. They do care about the environment, and they sometimes don't figure out that there's actually more people who forget about the labels of Democrat and Republican, blue and red. People who just care about these topics. And if you talk about that kind of stuff with someone, you make a connection with them. And it's actually a great thing to do. So 2 seats in the Senate. And then the other thing, holding on to each other. Step up and for each other. You said those things, and those things are really powerful. And I think that making sure legislators they don't stop. The legislation that's going to help people is really important. So thank you for running. It's a big commitment. And more music. I think you mentioned more music. So I'd like to thank you very much. I'm going to bring my friend Brant on. I happen to have such respect for my friend Brant, and he's been wanting to do a show with us for a while. And he's, stepped up so early on to he said, as soon as we talked about doing this, he was like, I'm in, I want to do a show. And, I know if you're not familiar with Brant, you're going to love his songs. He's got a new album out, Roots, Rhymes, and Branches. His song, one of his songs, should I mention the song, Brant?
Excuse me?
There's a song that I think you might even play this particular song, but it's number 12 on the international folk charts. Woohoo! Yeah,
I was pretty thrilled about that.
Yep. And the other thing about Brant is he's also, like Aleta, an activist for political and environmental causes. So Brant.
Great. And thank you, Pete. Thanks for having me. And Aleta, I was very inspired by listening to you. And I actually just wrote 4 songs while you were talking that I'm going to play tonight. Actually, no, they're already written, but like Pete said, there's 3 of them on my new CD. But the first one, they're all kind of make statements, political. Not all my songs do, but tonight I'm playing ones that have more of that type of meaning. This first one I've never played out live before, so this is kind of going to be interesting. And it's one I wrote the last year or two with all this going on, called Dangerous Clowns. They're playing with our future just like it was a game. They're scoffing at our science as we're fighting drought and flames. Our freedom's just a big joke that they're tearing to the ground. We don't see nothing funny in these dangerous clowns. First they came to Congress with all their dirty tricks, but now they're in the White House and selling us out quick. They treat our institutions like their personal playgrounds. We're tired of the antics of these dangerous clowns. And we all gotta take to the streets and to the polls again and again and again. 'Cause the only place they belong is in the big top or the pen. Crazy finger on the button, scary mask on the truth. Constitution's just a cheap prop. First Amendment's got the boot. Fat cats are all cheering since the circus came to town. It's time we voted out all of these dangerous clowns. And we all gotta take to the streets and to the polls again and again and again. 'Cause the only place they belong is in the big top or the pen. Fat cats are all cheering since the circus came to town. It's time we voted out all of these dangerous clowns. It's time we booted out all of these dangerous clowns. All right. Well, so that's getting that was one of the more angry songs that I've written. And I guess when I write songs, so much material these days to be writing about, if you kind of have a activist or a social conscience, and a lot of us do in the folk music world. And so this last 4 years have been a wellspring for a lot of people. But I guess a lot of us are wondering, what direction this country is going in, and certainly it's going in the wrong direction in a lot of ways. So here's a song I wrote about asking a question about that, and hopefully after this election coming up in the state level, local level, and the national level, we'll have a good answer that things are going forward. This is one called Where Now, America? It's raining in New York Harbor today. Miss Liberty's crying again. Still guiding the way with a torch in her hand, but she knows her light is fading. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, she calls out to all. But she's getting harder to hear every day, the higher we're building these walls. Washington, Jefferson, Teddy, and Abe watch sadly from their cliffside home. Their eyes are pleading, men die for those freedoms, for God's sake, leave them alone. Whatever happened to we the people? Are you all out of your minds? If we could only break loose from this rock, we'd set things straight one more time. Where now, America, land of the free, of by and for the people, doesn't mean just for me. Seems like our better angels have all flown the coop. Where now, America, it's up to me and you. Tempers are flaring and temperatures rising as left and right take their shots. Even the redwoods are thinking of moving to Canada. Things are so hot. Hurricanes pounding, huge fires raging as more and more green turns to brown. I wish I was kidding, but Nero keeps filling while this whole country burns down. Where now, America, land of the free, of by and for the people, doesn't mean just for me. It's time for our better angels to fly to our rescue. Where now, America, it's up to me, it's up to me and you. raining in New York Harbor today. Miss Liberty's crying again. All right. Well, like I said, hopefully that question, where now America, will be answered with a resounding forward and progress onward with this election. And again, I really appreciate Aleta for getting out there and running for this. Sounds like she has a great platform and a lot of the things that everything that I believe in, and hopefully will change for the better. And Pete, you're doing such a great job with Face the Music, and I'm proud to be involved in this now. And this next song is one that's also on my new CD that I actually wrote back in the 1980s, not too long after I moved to Nashville. And it's the first song I got recorded after I moved here to Nashville. And that was such a thrill, having somebody record one of my songs. And it's one that I've played ever since, and kind of is one I wrote to describe the human condition, and everybody, can get the blues. And especially during this time, a lot of folks have the blues. So this goes out to everybody with the blues. Rich man is riding in his bulletproof car. He thinks he's protected by his bodyguard. Then he sees his lonely mansion and the tears come breaking through. Nobody's safe from the blues. Heavyweight boxer throws a mean left and right. He's strong as a bull, and he's won every fight. Then he reads a goodbye letter, and it knocks him for a loop. Nobody's safe from the blues. There ain't no vaccination against this disease. It'll find you on the moon or way down under the sea. You can't tell a king and a beggar apart when both are on the knees with the blues in their hearts. The good Lord in heaven looks down from the sky. He sees all the fight and he starts to cry. Says, if I could do it over, I'd change a thing or two, 'cause nobody's safe from the blues. There ain't no vaccination against this disease. It'll find you on the moon or way down under the sea. You can't tell a king and a beggar apart when both are on their knees with the blues in their hearts. If you know somebody who's hungry or sad, don't turn your back, just reach out a hand. You never know, someday you just might be in his shoes. Nobody's safe from the blues. No, you never know, someday you just might be in his shoes. Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe from the blues. All right. A little blues there. And so I've got one more song that I'm going to do tonight. And this is one of my more recent songs. Pete was talking a little bit about Folk Alliance conferences that we've been to, and that's where we met. And there was one a couple of years ago in Kansas City, the first one I went to, and it I got to find my harmonica here. Yeah, they had a song challenge when I arrived. They had a desk welcome desk, and you could pick a song out of a jar and they have all these titles someone kind of came up with. If you write a song during the conference and you finish it and you sign up, you can play it at the end. So that's what I did with this. And I was able to write most of it and perform it at the conference with some other bunch of people who had done the same thing. I'd never done anything like that before. And then I finished it when I got home. So it's also on my new CD, and kind of talking about better version of ourselves, trying to, move to a higher level of being a good human and a good with empathy and a good citizen of our planet. So this is No Interest in That. If it didn't have a light glowing bright from a screen, if it didn't have some murder and mayhem in each scene, if I didn't get a buzz once it entered my bloodstream, had no interest in that, no interest in that. If it wasn't in the tabloid stacked up in the checkout line, if it made me think too much after a long and hard day's grind, if a homeless guy was wanting, I would look away each time, had no interest in that. That's how I used to feel, that's how I used to be, until I stared into the eyes of a man who wasn't free. Against my better judgment, it became my concern. Now I just can't let it go, 'cause we've got no time to burn. If it doesn't come from love, if it doesn't lead to grace, if it doesn't bring a smile to at least one worried face, if it doesn't leave our planet just a little better place, got no interest in that. We all can have a vision, we all can have a dream, we all can make it true, as hard as it may seem. Alone it's all but futile, but together it will come, with a million hearts and minds working hard to get it done. If it doesn't bring some justice, if it doesn't bring some joy, if it doesn't fill the bellies of some hungry girls and boys, if it doesn't help to lift us from this dark and growing void, I got no interest in that. No interest in that. I got no interest in that. No interest in that. I got no interest in that. Right. Well, thank you.
Woo! All right, Brant. That was great, man. I just love those songs, and that we got a premiere. We got a premiere of Dangerous Clowns, right? This is a world premiere.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So thank you for playing, and thank you for.
Well, I'm so thrilled to be playing, and I'm hoping I'll never have to play that song again after November 3rd.
I'm with you on that. I want to like toss a whole bunch of my, I got some much more over the top songs that I really don't ever want to play again.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Pete, for having me, and I really appreciate, and I really enjoyed your stuff too. You got some really great stuff and uplifting. Really, a lot of it is very uplifting, and so that's always good, even in depressing times, to have something positive to say and make people think and feel good at the same time.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Brant. And I mean, this idea of bringing musicians to a cause is not new, but doing it online and really asking people to volunteer is kind of like the big deal, right? Because I think that rather than just a politician asking, maybe if we're asking, maybe it's a little different. So, yeah. Anyway, how about if we bring Aleta and look at that? There's Aleta. So, we're just so glad to do this. Look at this. It's like there's a diagonal slope of actually now you set up a little bit, so kind of ruined that. I feel like I'm small.
Well, I have to say, I feel like I've been to church. I mean, this was a deeply spiritual hour. I just want to thank you both so much, because I think this is something that, again, I feel like we all need to kind of reflect and get back to our own sense of our own humanity and love for each other, radical love for each other, to really, transform this country in the way that we need to. And you two both really spoke to it in a very profound way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aleta. That really means a lot. Yeah. Well, what we normally have done at the end of these shows is there's a lot of people in the background, like people who help your campaign all over the place, including your campaign manager, who, helped me, put the show together, as well as there's a friend of mine, Linda Allen, who I don't think she's on this kind of thing, who's been helping out in the background and helped me organize the shows and is the voice of reason for so many people. And then there's a friend of mine, Chaz, who's been help put this show on, especially this show, because yes, we there is Chaz. Chaz, thank you so much, because this is all new. And so Chaz, not only is Chaz a great singer-songwriter based in Los Angeles with some great political songs, but also an amazing activist. Want to say something, Chaz?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was really fun, Aleta. It's amazing to hear how close the margin is in the Senate. I mean, it's amazing to think we just a bit of action and we can make a huge impact. A huge impact.
Wow.
So, yeah, volunteer link down below.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's like this. It gets you out of the muck. It gets you out of the negative and into doing something positive. So anyway, hey, thank you everybody for doing this. I mean, this has been so much fun. Aleta, we want you to win and win big. So thank you again, everybody.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.